iRace-ANZ chat show, bringing you sim racing, real motorsport, and the ANZ racing community.
G'day, pit crew. Welcome back to the grid. Another episode of the iRace-ANZ chat show, episode 13 tonight, live show. My bearded buddy Trent, as always, joining us. Trent, how are you?
I am very well, Scott. Thank you very much. It's good to be here for another live show.
Yes, special guest show too, as we can all see.
It is.
Representing the owner, the originator, and the man behind the scenes of Simple Racing Broadcasts, who I think might have the mute button clicked. You might want to check that. There we go. Welcome, Jared.
Well, I've got to do that because one of the unfortunate side effects of this broadcast headset is that it picks up almost everything in my house at times. So I'll bounce that around for you tonight just to make sure no one has to listen to the dog barking. But great to be here. G'day, race fans. Good to be in the very different booth tonight. It's a little odd to have my face up on anything, but you know, there's a real person behind the voice at times, so I figure I'd better come along and have a chat to you boys.
It's great to get you along, man. We've been talking about this, I reckon now, maybe, I think we started talking about it last year with you.
Possibly.
From memory. It's been a very short but long last 6 months. So, yeah, anything's possible. But, yeah, really good to have you here and have effectively a broadcaster on our show. And we're going to delve pretty deep, I hope, into what it's like being a broadcaster and get to know who you are as well as the owner and whatnot of the show. So, looking forward to finding out more, and I don't know, there might be some trade secrets come out there or anything. Who knows?
We'll see how we go with that. You can get me talking pretty easily, mate. But
okay, righto. Now, Trent, you've mentioned in the chat already about a new opening scene that came about. So yeah, been doing a little bit of work on our background to try and make us a little bit more professional. So here we are, got a lovely background happening now, and a few other little bits and pieces live in the top left.
Once I get my second PC up and running, I'll hopefully join you down in the garage as well.
Yeah, still sitting down with the team and whatnot. So yeah, that was something a little bit different. We might rotate some of these out, and I don't know, maybe have some different locations. Like if we ever go back to Laguna Beach, I might find not Laguna Beach. What's it?
Laguna Seca.
Laguna Seca, Laguna Beach. Same. Do some broadcasts from down at the beach, maybe. Who knows? Maybe. Who knows? Let's get kicking into the show, and Jared.
Good evening.
Who are you, mate? Who are you away from broadcasting? Everybody knows you as Simple Racing Broadcasts, and I guess we want to know a bit of background of who you are and that type of thing.
I mean, how much of a life story do you want, I suppose, is the question. I'm just another bloke who hasn't worked out what he wants to be when he grows up, honestly.
You're not growing up?
Not mentally, at least. But I think that's the case for most of us who do any kind of sim racing, right? Yeah. Still have those days where I'm pretty sure I'm still 17 in my head, and then the body reminds me I'm not so much anymore. Who am I? Brisbane born and bred. I've lived here pretty much all my life, bar a year in the UK when I was a tiny tot. So, you know, better part of 40 years living in and around the beautiful southeast of Queensland. Who else am I? Husband to a wife that is well and truly me punching above my weight. 2 amazing kids, a cocker spaniel that thinks she owns the bloody place. So, you know, I know my spot around here, and it's to just look after all of them and do the best I can, I guess. Outside of that, geez, pretty much most of my spare time, I'm in that stage of life with the kids where they just absorb everything in terms of our time, right? Like so much kid-related activities that the bulk of my spare time is broadcast and related activity, you know, doing up B-roll and setting up for new seasons and all that kind of thing. But occasionally with a bit of spare time, I don't mind a bit of gaming. It's actually rarely sim racing, believe it or not, because I'm pretty awful at it.
We'll be judging that in a couple of weeks, mate.
I was about to say that. We'll judge that.
I'm quietly a little nervous, and I'm pretty happy with my choice of teammates for the broadcaster battle. I think they'll be carrying me most of the way, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, look, a lot of the bits of spare time I've got, it's, you know, just some casual gaming around the place, and then yeah, you know, keeping the house in one piece, as tends to be the way at this kind of stage of life. It seems to be something that a lot of my mates are going through at about this point, where it just feels like you're just going from weekend to weekend, waiting for the next round of housework to pop up and trying to find some joy in between it all, you know?
Yeah.
I get you. Hey, just quickly, you touched on kids and a lot of your time getting taken up with kid-related stuff. Are they sporty type kids, or?
Oh, mate, they're into a bit of everything, and their school is amazing in terms of what they put on. So the youngest one is pretty heavily into gymnastics.
Okay.
Plays 2 different instruments in 2 different school bands, as well as some extension activities after school.
One of those,
and,
Trent, one of those.
Oh, mate, I tell you what, I honestly, I worry about her sometimes, the amount she takes on, but she loves it all. So who am I to say no, right?
Yeah. Oh, as long as she's enjoying it, right? That's the important thing.
Exactly. And then the eldest is not much different. Again, you know, some extension stuff outside of school, plays some basketball with his mates at school on one of the school teams, and plays in a couple of bands for the school as well. So it's a pretty full dance card Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
And somehow we managed to juggle it between my wife and I to get them everywhere and still allow me to jump on and do broadcasts a few nights a week, which is very, very kind of her.
Yeah, it's good though. Like, I think that shows, you know, she can see your passion in it and supporting you with that. And, you know, I think Trent and I have both got some pretty awesome partners that also give us the time and support what we do in terms of not only the chat show, but getting on and doing racing and stuff like that. And yeah, I think you need to have that in your family. And if you don't, I think, you know, at the end of the day, sim racing is going to come second, isn't it? Kind of thing. So
absolutely.
Absolutely. You know, I think that there's potentially quite a few people that, you know, have a bit of sim gear that comes up on the marketplace because they just don't get time to run anymore. And that's not to blame the partners and the family and stuff like that. I'm not saying that.
It's priorities, right?
Yeah.
It's priorities, and everyone goes through these stages in life. You know, I'm outside of this. You know, I think I've spoken to you about it at some point along the way, mate. You know, I was fortunate enough. I'm a bit of an optimist about it, I suppose. I was fortunate enough to be offered a pretty reasonable little redundancy package just before Christmas last year. So that meant leaving a job that I absolutely loved and had been doing for 8.5 years, but gave me some time to, you know, catch up on a lot of that life admin and spend some time with the kids and get along to all their activities and that kind of thing. And, you know, the swings and roundabouts of it all is that now I'm trying to juggle the new job and figure out how it fits alongside the broadcasting piece and how I make it all work again. So, you know, it's just the way that life goes. You're never quite settled, and then something will change, and you've got to figure out where your priorities lie. My sim rig sits here next to me just to remind me that it is there if I want to jump in.
I do have one, he says.
Yeah. It's far more capable than I am as a driver. And it's not great gear. But
needs somebody in the seat to drive it. Doesn't do it itself.
It absolutely does. And you know, I'm going to have to put in some practice laps at some point between now and mid-July. But the question is what cars do I need to practice in? And I'm sure I'll hear all about that tonight.
Someone wants some insider info there, Trent, I think. What do you reckon? I don't know.
I can't play favourites.
No, I don't know if it's going to happen, really, to be honest.
We'll see.
Jared, I don't know if you've seen the chat or not, but a good friend of ours, obviously from the MC Motorsport, Therese, Big Reese W, Jared the GOAT.
Mr. Wakefield.
Hands down, Simple Racing Broadcast is the best production for sim racing, period. There we go.
I appreciate that, mate. Yeah. I appreciate it. Yeah, look, it's always nice to hear that people are enjoying what we put on. And ultimately, that's the goal, right? I just like putting on a show that people enjoy seeing. You know, they get to see themselves from a different perspective after they've been out there racing. You know, like there's a lot of ways to watch iRacing, but it's kind of a nice thing, I think, to see yourself on screen as part of a TV style kind of production. So as long as people are enjoying it, I'm happy.
Yeah, I know. For me, it definitely adds a different element to not only the race that you've done and you can sit back and watch a replay, you know, on your own computer, but when you have, you know, a broadcasting and directing side of it, and then you have on top of that the call itself in terms of the commentary, like, yeah, adds like a lot more perspective to the whole race rather than what you just remember and you did behind the wheel, as well as I don't need to go back and direct a replay to see what others went through for the night. Somebody else has gone and done it for me. It's fantastic.
Yeah, we try to catch everything. We don't always get it. You know, that's always the challenge, right? It's a little bit different when you're talking about covering a league versus covering something like, you know, one of the big events or the officials. Not that iRacing have contacted me to do any of those yet. Hint, hint, iRacing. But you know, like when you're covering leagues, one of the challenges that I try to live up to each time is actually giving airtime to the whole field. You know, so many broadcasts and TV broadcasts as well, right? You focus on the leaders, and that's important, right? It's the battle at the front of the pack. It's great racing, but something that it's taught me over the last couple of years is that there is brilliant racing right throughout. Like the racing that I get the privilege of watching and commentating on is hands down some of the best you'll see. You know, there are some amazing drivers out there across the ANZ region who jump into a variety of different cars, get out on track, and put on a show for us. Nothing I do would look anywhere near as good if it wasn't for the drivers there. Simple as that. So I'm just helping the world see that.
Yeah, there is stories to be told in the mid pack and further down the field as well. It's not just like, yes, like you said, you've got the leaders, but yeah, sometimes there are battles. Scott and I have been part of that in the past in races that we've done. We haven't been battling for the lead, but like the broadcaster at the time did focus on us because there was a good battle. It might not have been at the front, but it was a good battle, and there was a story to tell there between us. And yeah, there's a lot of that. Like as Scott mentioned, going back and watching the races after you've participated, and you'll see parts of the races like, oh, I didn't know that was going on, and just adds that little element to the race that you know your side of it. Now you can learn and look and watch someone else's story and how their race panned out, which is really cool.
Even if it's only figuring out why that car was on its roof as you went past, right? Great one of those on Wednesday night last week.
Oh, I had a Perler, at Road America. That was probably one of my biggest accidents, actually. That was a huge crash.
Yeah,
there
were a couple. That was captured very, very well. Even Trent and I went back and, you know, after the race, we were watching it within our replay kind of thing. But when I saw that on the broadcast, I was like, wow, man, that's literally like world premiere class capturing of the moment, and the bolts and the parts and everything just went scattering everywhere. It was just phenomenal. It was so good.
I have to admit, I sat there sitting against the wall. And I'm like, I wonder if that's going to make the broadcast.
Look, chances are yes, mate. It generally will.
It wasn't until I got out that I actually realized how big a crash it actually was. So, yeah.
Trent, I want to know
about iRacing.
Sorry, go on, Jad.
That's the thing about iRacing, right? You know it's a really, really big crash when the amount of debris that it throws off looks unrealistic. Because it's only when it's a massive one that iRacing doesn't really know what to do with it, and it just throws debris everywhere. Like, that's a proper crash you've had.
Yeah. I've never seen the rear wheel do what it did too. It was hanging by the tether, basically. That was weird.
Hey, Trent, when you did see it on the replay on the broadcast, did you kind of go, look at this guy? Oh, hang on a minute, that's me.
No, I went seeking. Oh, there I am. Oh, that was a bad one.
Oh wow, that's funny. Hey, getting to know Jared a little bit more. Always a motorsport fan or no?
I honestly don't know that I'd call myself a motorsports fan in the sense that, like, I enjoy it, right? I enjoy all sorts of motorsports, but like, I never picked a side in the Ford versus Holden battle. Would you believe? Which just seems wrong for someone of my vintage. Growing up
you are
in
Australian, aren't you? Like, did you
Yeah, well,
grow up
that's
in?
it,
You did
right?
grow up in
You'd think
Australia,
so.
didn't you?
You'd
Like,
think so, and yet I never picked a side. Um, yeah, look, I've always been interested in cars and racing in some way, right? Like I don't know. I don't consider myself a motorsports fan in the sense that I don't have specific drivers and specific series that I'm into. I just love watching any kind of racing. It's just good to watch, right? I've got memories from when I was a kid. You know, my uncles in particular were like diehard Holden fans. One of them's got this beautiful GTR XU1 Tirana that he's built up to showroom condition, brand new. Like every part on it, down to the bloody valve caps, is original OEM. He's done a phenomenal job of it. I grew up watching Bathurst alongside them, and you can't not absorb some of that when you're surrounded by that. I spent some time working at a local mechanic just for fun when I was, in my late teens. Just went down there and said, "Hey, can I come and work with you a couple of days a week just to get my hands on cars and engines and see how they tick a bit more and learn a bit?" And modifying my own cars and being around the forums and boost cruising scene in the 2000s. And
wow.
yeah, right. Like
was
anyone out there that hears
yeah.
boost cruising is going to know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like the sex spec era, right? And then racing,
auto salon,
drag.
get your heart out.
Exactly. That was like my peak years. 16, 17, 18 through my 20s was the peak of that hype.
Yeah.
And after that, drag racing, got into motorbikes, used to spend a fair bit of time doing track days, getting out and doing race experience days around the various tracks and that kind of thing. But yeah, look, I've always been around it and I've always enjoyed it. But well, the question you ask is, am I a motorsport fan? And I guess so, but maybe not in the sense that a lot of people would expect.
I'd argue that what you've just explained is textbook motorsport fan. Like, you don't need to follow a series or a driver or anything like that. The fact that you just want to watch motorsport or participate in motorsport, like, to me, that's the definition of a motorsports fan. Like, you don't care what it is, you'll just watch it.
I'm a motorsport fan then.
Some people claim they're a motorsport fan, but I only watch F1. Like, that's not a motorsports fan, that's an F1 fan sort of thing. Yeah. Where what you've just described is motorsport. Like, you just watch whatever there is to watch. So yeah,
pretty much.
But I get asked the question, and people would talk about generally there's two conversations that go on over in the West Coast. AFL, cricket. Hate cricket. I can't stand it. I absolutely despise the sport. It's just shit, right? And footy, I'm like, okay, yep, I'll support or follow West Coast Eagles, but I don't need to sit and watch their game every single weekend that they're playing. If I find out that they've won, cool. If I find out they've lost, okay, they had a loss. And so I often get asked the question, oh, well, what sport are you into? I'm like, mate, as long as it's got wheels and an engine, you've got me hooked. Like, I'm into it pretty much. There's some drag racing I don't find overly exciting. 2 and a bit, 3 seconds, and we're done. I couldn't sit and watch just drag racing all the time. Like, that just doesn't interest me, But overall, as long as it's got an engine and tires, I'm on board. And so I'm with Trent. I think that you are a motorsport fan. I think that Yeah.
Give me my membership card, boys. I'm in then.
We'll have to start some, Trent.
Yeah, true.
Maybe Jared's number 001 of the Motorsport fan card club.
Just about the only time you'll see. Just about the only time you'll see a number 1 next to my name in anything to do with motorsport.
Wow. Okay. We'll see. Mate,
I'm just lulling them all into a false sense of security here, you know.
Or are you just setting the expectation for a couple of weeks' time?
There's a Simpsons quote that I think is really really appropriate for this, and I'll paraphrase it a bit. But set the bar low. Set the bar so low that even if you succeed, nobody will even notice. I figure, if people are expecting me to come last in this broadcaster battle, then anything above that's a bonus.
Well, mate, people can pitch in money. People are going to be able to pitch in money and have some twists and turns and things happen.
I can only hope that all of my various friends out there who'll be tuning into it have deep pockets.
Well, and it might not just be money related either. It might just be.
That's fair.
Oh, we could be letting out too much here. No, we're gonna have to move on.
See, I told you I'd get something out of you.
Maybe let's catch up on some of the comments that are going on in the chat.
Yeah, there's been a few, hasn't there?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness me. Wow. No worries, fellas.
Look, the comments on the forehead. Yeah. Look, I did a bit of Twitch streaming through COVID, as a lot of people did. And there's a bloke who I now count as a very good mate that I've never met from the US by the name of Cade, who's probably going to find this at some point and tune in and leave comments afterwards about my forehead. And I'm okay with that. But I thought we'd get it out of the way early. I don't show up somewhere.
I don't have a 4 head either. I have a 5 head, so I know the feeling.
It's just part of getting old as a bloke, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, some guys get the luxuries of a 4 head.
I've been thinning at the back here for the last 20 odd years, so I'm looking after this little patch of hair right here. It's hanging in there.
Coming from the guy who's 22, you started balding pretty early, mate.
Yeah, it's always just been thin at that back there. I don't know why. It's just been thin, and it's not getting any worse. So
exactly, Reece.
Jeremy Washington. Haven't seen a retreat like that since Napoleon was leaving Russia. Wow.
yeah. I read that. I was like, I'm not saying it.
Yeah, look, fair.
Oh, well.
This is why Scott wears a hat. Yeah, I just saw that.
Yeah. Well, technically, I've only got the little patch at the back, and I'm just like, no, done. Get rid of it. I'm out.
Yeah. I do not have a good shaped head. I shaved my head once. Yeah, not a good look. I've got an ugly shaped head. It doesn't suit me at all.
Think of the aerodynamics.
Well, I've got this in the way as well, so screw the aerodynamics.
Look, there is that.
I've tried to tell Trent that I'll make a offering for the beard to get full shaved, and he's like, nah. I was like, mate, not even $100. He's like, nah. So maybe we'll have to. Do you know what's coming up actually, Trent? Isn't it shave for a cure?
Shave for a cure or something?
Yeah.
Oh, they'll figure it
out. They will figure it out. Yeah, right. Fair enough. Let's keep going on. So back to the question before about the Motorsport fan stuff was yay or nay, but it was more around like, well, what then got you into the side of the sim racing journey, which actually leads us on to our next topic, which is actually your sim racing journey. So how long have you been involved? Like, what got you into sim?
Look, I suppose it depends on how far back you want to go with that, right? The earliest sims that I can remember playing, and sim is perhaps a bit of a loose definition, depending on how far back you want to go. But I remember there was this game called Stunts back in the 90s.
I loved that game.
Yes.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So we're talking back in 486 pre-Pentium days, right? But this game was both head-to-head racing with computer opponents, and also the most ridiculous like loop barrel roll tracks that you could build. You had a track editor built in, all that kind of stuff. It was really cool. Maybe on the arcade side of things when you look at it today, but at the time, I'm going to count that as a sim. So I'm going to say I've been into sim racing in some ways since the 90s. But realistically, like when you think about what constitutes a real sim these days, I suppose probably 2015, 2016, Project Cars was the first one that I kind of got into, right? And I was pretty much on that as part of my rotation of games that I play for a fair while. I think I first touched iRacing Assetto Corsa in about 2022, I think. And yeah, so it's relatively recent, all things considered.
What's your what's your iRacing account number start with? Like what's
it's a 7. I'm pretty sure.
How many digits long?
6 digit.
6 or 5 digits?
5 digit? 6 digit. No, it'd be 5 digit, wouldn't it?
Well, mate, I've been playing it for listen to me. I've been using iRacing platform for a very, very long time, and I'm a 5.
You've just inspired a legion of hate comments about how you don't play iRacing.
Probably. That's okay.
No, six digit ID 735138. If anyone wants to add me, go for it.
Okay. Mine's a 5 digit.
Yeah, I'm a 5 digit as well. Okay.
No, six digit and well and truly.
Yeah, okay. So it's done the circle
really,
pretty much.
It has, but honestly, like if you think about the explosion of popularity of iRacing. I'm going to check the comments in a second.
You should.
The explosion in popularity of iRacing, particularly across 2020, 2021, right? COVID.
Yeah, COVID.
I would love to know if someone joined, let's say, late 2019, what their member number with iRacing is compared to someone who joined at the end of 2020, because I reckon there's a big difference in them.
Yeah, it's a good point. That probably would be a pretty decent jump.
I'm going to see if we can find that out. Not tonight, but I'm going to see if we can try and track that down.
Well, look at the difference. Like, when did you sign up, Scott? Like, what year?
Oh, man. I'm going to have to go look it up, aren't I, for that?
You're gonna have to.
Just to see the difference, like compare the distance. So I signed up in 2010. So I assume you were somewhere before that. It'd be interesting to know how far before that is, because I think there's about 10,000-15,000 between our account numbers thereabouts.
Yeah,
just to see what that time frame is compared to what Jared just said, like 2019 to 2020, like what sort of jump that will have, because it'll be huge.
Did anybody see the comment from
Motorsport series?
The Race Pig?
Race Pig.
I don't know if we need to go into who my favourite drivers are in any given series, do we?
I just love Harry Wright, and why is it me?
It's obviously Scott and I. They're your favourite drivers in MC Motorsports. In that league,
I am unbiased and completely impartial, except when I see ADHD and Koala Cartel cars punching on, and in that case, I'm all in favour of the winner.
Because you got to sit on the fence, right, and be don't want to be showing favoritism.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Crazy. First sim and wheel setup. What did you start off with? Like back in, let's go the Project Cars days, and then maybe
I reckon
where you're at currently.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure the first wheel I bought was just your Logitech G920. I'm pretty sure that'd be the first one I bought at some point, and I built myself a little wooden rig out of just your standard Bunnings timber and chucked all that together because I had the time and energy to do it at that point.
Are you really a sim racer if you don't have a Logitech wheel as your first wheel? Like, honestly, like That's got to be everyone.
Yeah, that's a rite of passage. You drive that until you learn better. And there's nothing wrong with Logitech wheels, and it doesn't make you any slower. But it just there's some joy to be taken from a better setup. What I run now is a Fanatec base, just a Club Sport DD Plus, I think it is, or Club Sport DD. Nothing super special. I've got the Gran Turismo wheel that came with this base, and McLaren for most of my driving. McLaren GT3 wheel. Aluminium rig, track racer seat. I race exclusively in VR because it's just better. And come at me in the comments because I know they will. But VR racing is if you can adjust to it, and you can get over that motion sickness part of it that comes with, and then sim racing is pretty bad for it initially. But if you can get past that, geez, there's nothing else.
Yeah. I did VR for a long period of time, actually.
You did.
And I felt quicker in it. I've moved to triples now just because the VR stopped working for a period, but I've got it working again. But then I couldn't get my field of view where I really wanted it. So I probably need to tinker with it some more. But VR it's especially for the immersion. It's just nothing beats it.
Yeah, it's it's a natural way to drive in a sim. If you're worried about a car next to you, you turn your head and look, and you look into the apex, and the depth perception is hard to argue with. Now that said, it clearly doesn't make me fast. No. To go back to someone like Reese, who's in the chat somewhere at the moment. He's saying his first wheel was a Logitech G25. I'm pretty sure he's still using a Logitech G25 last I heard, and he's out there absolutely smashing races. So equipment is not the be all and end all of anything, but I enjoy what I've got now. It's fun when I do get in the rig, and that's my measure. What is it, smiles per mile or something?
Yeah, that's the main thing. You got to enjoy what you're doing. Otherwise, it's just no point.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to ask the next question before I pass on to Trent, who will move us on to the next category. But, so obviously started in sim racing. Tell us how you progressed into broadcasting. Like, how did that all come about?
You're going to think that this is all just part of me.
Sorry, stop.
No.
Stop.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
I think I've jumped into the wrong part. I did. Sorry. Let's go back a sec.
Okay. We'll come back to that question.
What's one of the biggest lessons that you learned in sim racing? Like, what's something that's taught you?
My previous comment that I was about to add will still apply. Then you'll think that I'm still just setting up for my my epic loss in the broadcast battle. Honestly, humility. I think that's such an important thing to learn when it comes to life generally. But sim racing will teach you that real quick, right? Because there is always someone faster out there, and in my case, there's lots of people faster out there. So, enjoy the successes that you have, but don't get arrogant about it, because it's only a matter of time before you get bumped up to that higher split and you get absolutely toasted. There's no two ways about it. You just get schooled by people who are faster than you by degrees that shouldn't even be possible based on your experience so far. You're lapping around at the back of the field, and the next person in that list is 4 seconds faster per lap or something like that. Maybe that's just my experience again, but it's genuinely impressive if you can get over yourself and try and learn from it. I think one of the really enjoyable experiences I had with being way out of my depth was when I started covering the Alliance Sim Racing V8s. And I thought, okay, before I start commentating on these, I should probably get some laps in. And I was struggling to finish a clean lap. in a Gen 3 supercar. And I finally got some good lap times in. I went, okay, like I can consistently complete a lap. I feel like I'm probably on the limit of my ability here. And I jumped into a practice session with those guys, in the lead up to the start of the season and put in some of my best laps ever and was 4.5 seconds off the pace of the slowest driver in that league. And I went, oh, wow. Like, I understand now how much of a handful these cars are, and you're out there doing that. And let's not even talk about how far off the top I was. We're not going to go into that. But I was genuinely wildly impressed with it.
All I picked up from that is, can we please have the Gen 3 supercar in the broadcaster battle?
As long as you have to drive it around the track in reverse.
Oh, yeah. I agree with you on the Gen 3 supercar. I tried driving it once, and I don't even think I made it out of the pits.
It's an animal of a thing, and
it is.
Yeah, people need to try it out. Isn't there? There's a downtime scheduled for tonight, isn't there?
Was it last night?
If you're out there and
I think it was last night. Yeah.
Never mind. Demo drive might still be going. Go give it a try if you haven't.
Yeah. To the viewers, if you had any questions for Jared, throw them in the chat. We can ask them on your behalf, or he can read them himself and answer your questions. So don't forget to, if you are watching, subscribe so you can join in on the chat and join us in the comments. They're having a jolly old time in there. So talk amongst yourselves and ask some questions for Jared. To Jared, for those that might not know Simple Racing Broadcasts, what is it and how did it all start?
So how did it all start? That's a whole other story. It kind of started not long after the first time I tried to join, or did join, an iRacing league. But what it's about, for me, Simple is about giving high quality broadcasts at a price that allows it to be a viable option for leagues in Australia and New Zealand who want to see their races covered by a TV style broadcast instead of, Twitch streams through a single driver's point of view, or like, everyone streams their race from their point of view, but it's a whole different experience actually seeing it from the replay cameras as a live broadcast, and to make that accessible was kind of always the aim, and it ultimately I just think it's a good thing for sim racing and the sim racing community for more broadcasts to be available to watch. Pure and simple. The more people see of it, the better it goes.
Yeah, that's true.
I think in our panel show, Jay Kennedy, and I'm sure, Jared, you know who Jay is.
Of course.
Yeah.
How do you not? If you've looked at any broadcasting event, you know who Jay Kennedy is.
Yeah, the OG of broadcasting in Australia and New Zealand. But he made a similar comment, like trying to get more people into doing the broadcast. And just quickly off the top of your bat though, like if you were going to start, like, how do you find someone to go and broadcast? Or do you just go and throw your hand up and be like, I'm going to start broadcasting the Australia scene. If people start watching, then cool, and I'll see where it takes me?
Honestly, that's how Simple started. I just put my hand up and went, I'll do broadcasts. Like that. So MC Motorsport, anyone who's listened to the podcast will have heard that name come up.
A few times, maybe.
A few times around the place, right? And anyone who's watched the Simple channel will be familiar with MC Motorsport. That's actually the first league that I ever joined. And I can't honestly remember how I found it at the time, but I got through a couple of races and went, yeah, I'm well off the pace. So back to that old chestnut. But because it was such a small league at the time, like this is 2 years ago, right? And because it was such a small league at the time, it was a pretty, small group of guys that are in there, and we're all, chatting in Discord after the races and that kind of thing. And Mitch Curry, the league owner, was talking at the time about how he'd love to take it to the point where in the future they could have sponsors, they could have broadcasts and actually make it a pretty big thing. And I kind of went, well, look, I'm clearly not racing at the level that you've got here already. I did a bit of Twitch streaming, like I said earlier. I can give broadcasting a shot, and offered to just have a crack at it for the league. And look, I think some of those original broadcasts are probably still in the channel archives somewhere. I have thought about unlisting them a few times because they're pretty bloody terrible. Honestly, it's almost embarrassing to look back at. But it does show how far we've come in terms of the coverage that we do. So, I keep them up if anyone wants to go and look at where we started. And look, honestly, go back and look at where Simple started, and that will give you the confidence to go out and try it for yourself. Simple as that.
I see that story. This is genuinely who you were at that time. So it would be
100%.
a way to keep track of who you were, what you did, and you can look back on that and go, wow,
where it's gone from there.
Yeah, you've come a long way. So that's cool.
Yeah, and then really, what took it from, hey, I'm just doing it because this is a good bunch of blokes at MC, and I just want to help them out and just try my hand at broadcasting for them, give it a crack, and from there, one of the guys, and I can't remember who it was, which is going to bug me now. I'm going to have to figure it out at some stage, but at some point, one of the guys in the MC Discord put me in touch with someone from Alliance Sim Racing, where they had this inaugural, they wanted to do this annual charity race. This was the first one they wanted to put on, and literally 3 days out from running this Sandown 500, the person they had lined up to broadcast went, "Oh yeah, sorry, I can't actually do it." And so they got put in touch with me to try and put something on.
Yeah.
Right. So I took it on. I threw together the best thing that I could with the skill set that I had at the time and the time frame that I had to do it. And it must have been okay enough because they called me straight after doing the 500. And look, to be fair, it helped out massively by the fact that I had an amazing commentator in the booth with me. Anyone who's watched any Australian sim racing would know Sandman. He's been around for a long time, doing commentary work. So I had him in the booth as the lead comms, and I was kind of focusing more on the production and trying not to break it all. But they called me straight afterwards and said, "Hey, we're going to start our regular season, like our first season, pretty soon. We want you to do the broadcasts." And it's kind of just snowballed from there to what it is. It's been regular broadcasts of some sort happening pretty much year round ever since. So if you want to get into it, just give it a shot. What's the worst that you can do? There's millions of streams out there on YouTube and Twitch that are awful to watch because it's just someone having a crack, and that's okay. You've got to start somewhere.
Yeah, it's fun too. I had a crack back in the day, and you learn a different side of the iRacing system and how it communicates and what you can actually do with those tools. Like, you're not just getting in a car and driving. Like, there's a lot more to iRacing than sort of meets the eye, I guess you could say. Like, and doing the broadcasts, you'd see stuff that most people probably don't really understand or even know potentially exists. Like, I've heard it mentioned before, like camera packs and stuff like that, creating your own custom cameras for tracks and things like that. Like, that's full on to me. Like, that's, like the time that would take to create those two, and to say that these are mine.
You get into it really, and I'll tell you now, there is not a single track that I cover that I haven't modified the camera pack in some way. It's just part of your approach, is that you know what you want it to look like on your broadcasts, and so you have at least some minor modifications that go into it to make sure that it behaves the way you expect. I have a very set sequence of what I want my TV1 cameras to do, what I want my TV2 cameras, my TV3 cameras, my static cameras. There's a particular way that I use them, and I use particular settings so that they behave the way I expect, because I don't want to have to be guessing from track to track, which camera do I want for that sort of shot at this point. So at the bare minimum, I do that for every single track. It's not actually that time consuming at a bare minimum. But when you start to get into, okay, there's particular tracks that are like they're especially in some way, Bathurst is a great example, right? I'm not just going to use the standard pack there. I've gone through and I've customized various shots to be what I want them to be.
Is Nordschleife one of those tracks that has special attention?
Yeah. Let me guess. Mitch has popped up somewhere around that.
Someone? No, not Mitch, but close enough. Yep.
Nordschleife, I love that track.
Oh yeah, sorry, both of them.
I completely rebuilt the cameras for Nordschleife at some point, and I think that amounted to something like 160 custom placed cameras to cover that. But so worth it until you figure out that in certain angles, a tree will pop up in the wrong place at the wrong time. So you're constantly
up the tree with koala cartel. Is that what it is?
Honestly, it's one of those things that you're always looking for when you're running a broadcast is what have I missed here that I can tweak for next time that makes it better. And then they go and rework entire tracks like they did at Bathurst, and you have to check every single camera you use.
Yes.
It's worth it though.
Yeah. What part of broadcasting do you actually enjoy the most? Like what gives you the most pleasure, I guess?
Look, honestly, you get to see some pretty unreal racing. There's been amazing racing. There's been some crazy like dead heat 0.000 finishes to races. There's been some awesome storylines that unfold across the course for championship. But I honestly think the thing that I really love doing the most, that I love most about broadcasting, is getting involved in those charity events that we've done. We've only done 3 of them, if my count's any good, at this point. And, we've only raised, it'd be a touch under $5,000, I think, across those few events. But that's still something pretty special. The charity organisations that we've helped are not massive organisations. And so even that little bit goes a long way. So to be involved in that and to be able to do something that is, helping the community at large is an awesome thing. That's the bit I enjoy the most.
That's cool. There's some questions from the chat. Since starting broadcasts, what's the most memorable racing moment that comes to mind?
Oh, does it count when I wasn't broadcasting and I was driving? Because being upside down across Skyline in a GTE Porsche is up there, especially in VR.
Oh, yes. Oh, I remember those. Yeah.
Yeah. No, my favourite. Oh, geez, there's been so many incredible racing moments, and one of the tricky things is you often get a question afterwards from someone. Oh, did you see this? Maybe I did, but actually, I find anyway when I'm commentating, I'm so just in the moment, and checking telemetry for where we're going to look next, and just calling what I see on screen and moving on. I often don't actually remember what I've seen. There are some pretty big ones. I think though, like if I had to pick a favourite, it's not necessarily the most incredible and most epic thing I've ever seen, but the very first clip of ours that got featured on iRacing's official top 10 list.
Oh yeah,
like that cool. Sits in my heart as hell yeah, we've made it somewhere.
Yeah.
iRacing have seen what we've done and they've gone, yeah, this is good enough to feature. And look, it's more about the racing than it was the commentary, but we were still there. We still had
someone had to capture it though.
Our race someone had to capture it. Exactly right.
Yep. Can you get us that? Can you DM that to me? And we can put it up. We can chuck a link up.
It's so good they've actually used it 2 or 3 times.
Oh, nice.
It's better than no times.
100%.
And I was actually going to touch on the events that you did, where you're doing donations and whatnot, the charity events. That's, you said about, $4,000 to $5,000, whatever, but that's $4,000 to $5,000 that place didn't have prior.
Didn't have before.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the joy that the drivers and everything go through. And again, going back and watching the broadcast and those types of things, like that's, like you're saying, becomes such a memorable moment and that you're doing something so good for, you know, somebody that's not yourself or your teammate or, you know, your friends. It's for the greater world, right? So,
yeah, exactly.
Trent, we got any other questions in the chat?
Yeah, we've got one. I like this one actually. If there's one thing you could change about iRacing to aid broadcasting, what would it be?
Oh, I'm gonna take that as aiding broadcasting as a whole, as opposed to mine specifically. I would absolutely adore if iRacing would create a broadcaster subscription.
I believe we touched on a panel show. I believe we touched on that.
Yeah, like, because, you know, same annual fee as a regular racing subscription, no problems, right? Yeah. But make it spectator only and access any car, any track, any session for that purpose. I think that would be the single biggest thing that they could do to help grow broadcasting of their service and grow visibility of their service.
Yeah.
The reality is, and I thought this might become relevant at some point in the conversation tonight. So I actually went back and I looked at how much I've spent on this so far, and not including anything other than the purchases I've made of cars and tracks since starting broadcasting officially, let's say. I've spent close to $1,000 US on cars and tracks. And like, great that I'll hold the licenses forever. Great that I've still got the content there for it. Like, that's all awesome, right? Probably 75% of those tracks I've never driven on. Yeah. Never driven on at all. And so I've purchased those for the sole purpose of broadcasting an event, and hopefully more than one event on them at some point, right? So, you know, that's fine, and that's been made possible by the fact that I'm getting into broadcasting in the right sort of way, that I've had the funds to do that. But for someone who just wants to start up and give it a crack, you know, to turn that into something that's financially viable enough that you can buy all that sort of content on it is not always going to be that accessible. So I'd love to see that.
Yeah, as I mentioned, like I'm pretty sure it was our panel show was brought up with Jay Kennedy. Something he mentioned as well, that we believe that there should be a broadcast account that give all the content, like, pay your subscription fee, like you said, but get the content for free. Make it spectate only. You can't drive it. Can't do any other than using it for spectating and broadcasting. I think, like I said, that will go a long way in getting those people who are hum and hawing, oh, should I give it a crack? Oh, no, if I need to buy all this stuff that I'm not going to use or not going to drive on, then what's the point? And it just sort of turns them off. But to have that ability, that would actually be pretty cool feature.
Yeah, that's what I'd love to see for broadcasting more broadly.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I missed any other questions. They're the ones that I could see in the chat.
Yeah, I'm just having another quick check through.
Oh, there's a bunch of random questions. I'm not sure how many of them are actually to be taken seriously, based on some of the people asking. And
well, yeah, as far as I know, if it's anything from the MC Motorsports bunch, there's probably none of them, to be honest. Let's be for real here.
I do have another one. How much time do you put into the streams each week? Is there much background work that goes into them?
The answer to that is it depends. The actual setup of a stream for each week for a league is reasonably straightforward now. I've invested, though, huge amounts of time over the last 2 years in some of the assets that I use, in particular things like the custom B-roll that I use for the pre-race and the mid-race background, right? It's only a little thing, and it's probably not even something that anyone notices, honestly, other than me. But the difference between having that stuff those videos that I've recorded with that bit of extra movement and focusing on particular elements of the track that are things that you might not see if you're actually driving there. There's a lot of artwork in iRacing that actually doesn't get seen because it's away from the track and it's there for their own, artistic promotion or whatever. But you don't see it when you're actually racing it. And so, I try to bring some of those elements into it, and that bit of motion in the background, I think actually makes it look far, far better than the standard scenic cameras that iRacing just flicks through, when you're not actually in a car. When I started doing that, that meant, an hour or so plus in some cases for every single track, every single week to record, edit, and compile that B-roll. But as time's gone on, I mean, there's only so many road tracks left for me to buy at this point. I'm actually at the point now where I've got what I think will probably be all of the basic B-roll that I need. And so now it's kind of, well, if I do have more time to do some more of that, then it might be time for me to start thinking about doing nighttime B-roll for night races and that kind of thing. So as far as the actual setup though of the stream, once I build the broadcast pack for a league, it does really minimize the setup time from week to week. There's only a few changes you really need to make. But that's because I've developed the routine and the rhythm, and I know exactly what I need to do every single week to shift it over and have it ready for whatever's happening that week.
You've kind of gone into our next category we're going to ask some questions about, which was actually the broadcaster challenges. And obviously that was one of them. But is there anything else to add to that in terms of like what's a typical broadcast day start to finish?
Look, it depends on the event, right? If it's your weekly league racing event, it's, well, again, once you get the process down, it's not particularly difficult, but it's all important to the end result. My process in setting up each and every week is something like join the iRacing session, set up the broadcast software, make sure all the data's updated, so you've got your championship standings updated, any new drivers and their team details, that kind of thing. Update details on what's happening that round. Make sure I've got the number of laps right, which is not always the case. Get all that in there. Make sure that I've got the right graphics and the B-roll selected in OBS. Get into Discord, into the broadcast booth with my co-commentators. Connect to YouTube and do a test stream for a little while, just because. I had that one issue one time where the DNS server from my ISP decided that it was going to send the YouTube stream over to LA to feed in.
Oh.
And so we went from our usual bit rate down to dropping something like 90% of our frames. Yeah. And it was an absolute slideshow, and I had no idea it was going to happen. And I had no idea what was happening or how to fix it at that point. If I'd actually followed my process that time, that this got added to the process after that, right? But to set it up and actually just connect the stream as soon as you get into the session through to YouTube, and make sure that it's actually feeding at the bit rate I want consistently and it's not dropping frames. If it does that for 5 minutes, I know I'm going to be fine for the race. So all of that is fairly straightforward, but that's the pre-race ritual. Every time. The real effort comes in, particularly for the bigger events, it's the coordination in the months and weeks leading up to it. Do I have the commentary team? Do I need to set up a roster for who's going to be in the booth and when? Do I have redundancies available? Do I have someone else available to take over so I can step away from producing for a while? Ultimately, though, I'm not a professional outfit. I don't have a huge setup. So there's only so much redundancy you can plan for. If my PC dies or my internet goes out, we're done. So if anyone feels like donating, $5 or $6 grand for just the bloody hard drive and RAM component of a new PC at the moment, then I'm all ears. But for now, it's fit for purpose.
Sorry, did we just start a GoFundMe? I'll jump on that bandwagon. I'll take some gear.
Why not? Yeah. Oh, it's horrifically expensive. Any idea of setting up a second PC as a redundancy is way out the window at the moment. But anyway.
I found that out when I just wanted to buy a cheap normal hard drive, and long gone are the days of where you could get a 2 terabyte physical hard drive for like $60-$70.
Yeah,
doesn't exist anymore.
No, not a thing.
Nope.
Not a thing.
No, and then you get this generation of kids that complain about how expensive stuff costs. Hey, like, mate, but look at what you're getting as well. Like, look at the quality of the product that you're getting comparative to, what we went through when we were, first getting into PCs and all that kind of stuff.
I had a 386 SX25. That was my first PC. 386 SX25 with a 80 megabyte hard drive and 2 megabytes of RAM.
Particularly the jump that we've seen in the last 12 months, right, in RAM and graphics card prices because of the advent of AI.
Yeah.
Let's not go down that particular rabbit hole because I have some very particular opinions on AI and where it exists in the world right now.
Are you sure we've got a good chat audience that could jump on this bandwagon?
Look, no, in short, I think that it's incredible how much both physical capacity is being poured into it, not to mention the environmental impact of power and water usage of these data centers to run it, for what amounts to people making cartoon images of their favorite person or dog or even and honestly even the promo posters you see for various leagues that are starting up and that kind of thing. Yeah, it's cool that anyone can do that really quickly now, but at what cost and why is this actually what we're putting this into? Anyway, maybe I'm just salty that I can't get RAM for the prices I could 12 months ago. That's a possibility too.
That's a possibility.
Is this something that you need? Oh, you can't see it?
What you got there? RAM stick.
What I need at the moment,
I've got two of these.
Wish list. you, sir, are sitting on your retirement fund. Right? Honestly, my wish list at the moment would be to upgrade the CPU. 9800X3D would be delightful, but that means
got
CPU,
one of those too.
Motherboard, RAM.
I've got one of those.
Yeah, see, I don't. I am. What am I even running at the moment? 13700, I think.
Especially for iRacing. iRacing is fairly CPU dependent as well.
It is
in its current state.
Yeah, it is.
Well, not until soon o'clock comes.
Yeah, 7 o'clock. We'll see how that goes.
Jared, hardest challenge that you've faced building your brand. So building Simple Broadcast or Racing Broadcast into the brand that it is today. Give us a quick snapshot on, what's been one of or a couple of the hardest challenges with that.
Look, I think I've been pretty fortunate in that the growth that Simple has had has been largely organic. And I think that is the best kind of growth to have. When as a broadcaster, as anyone does who puts any content into any platform, you compare yourself to what else is out there. And one of the things that I am particularly proud of at the moment, and I hope that it stays this way over time, is that the number of people tuning into Simple Broadcasts each week, relative to the number of subscribers to the channel, is pretty healthy. And there are a bunch of channels out there with, you're talking 3 or 4 times, in some cases 10 to 20 times the number of subscribers that we've got, that aren't getting anywhere near that same ratio of viewers looking at what they put on. So the organic growth has been really kind to us in that respect. I don't think about specifically trying to build the brand so much as I think about just ensuring that what we are putting out there lives up to our standards. And if that's what people are into, then that's what they'll watch. The reality is that I can't afford, and even if I had, 8 hours of broadcast a day, I don't charge fees that would make it financially viable for it to be a full-time gig for me, because that's not why I set it up in the first place.
Yeah.
I set it up to put on the broadcasts for a reason, and yes, I do charge for the broadcast, bar the charity events, but I try to price it at a level that is reasonable for everyone involved in putting on the broadcast and affordable for leagues who want to have that quality broadcast on. Now, all of that said, I would love to see it grow to a point where, ad revenue and the like from YouTube actually does kick in and start to make it potentially maybe look that way one day. But we're a long, long, long way from that. And if I had, look, luck and timing are as much a part of success in the content creation sphere as anything else. Realistically, nothing that I do in Simple is something that someone else can't replicate. Like nothing that I'm doing with Simple is actually anything particularly tricky or fancy. I'm not some kind of, streaming genius who's worked out this secret combination of stuff that no one else can possibly do because they haven't found it or something like that. It's just the time that I've put into finding the right balance of various settings and all that kind of thing, right? The success, though, when it comes to content creation and building the brand and making it potentially massive, I can put all the hard work I want into it, but it's as much about timing as anything else. And I often wonder, like what might it have been like had we started all of this in late 2019 instead of 2023, 2024-ish. Like if I'd started getting into it late 2019 instead of 2024, and just as I started to do broadcasts, COVID kicked in, sim racing popularity went through the roof. Like what might it look like today, right? So it's like I'm not downplaying the importance of actually putting on a quality broadcast and producing a quality product in that respect, but the challenge, the biggest challenge in building the brand is simply the fact that ultimately what we do at Simple is not a niche thing that we can charge squillions of dollars for. And so if that's what success of the brand looks like, then that's a really hard thing to achieve.
Well, that's some food for thought, man.
It's kind of heavy, actually.
It is, but in a good way, because there's plenty of people out there that, and I think would want to get into broadcasting and go and set themselves up, but then are doing it because like they want to be paid.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that the approach is wrong. Right. It's like, to me, I look at say Formula One drivers as an example, right? If you had a team that came to you and said, we understand that you want $800,000 in pay for the year, we can only afford $500,000. That's all we've got. And they turned around and said, well, no, I need 800. It's like, well, we're the only team left that's looking for a driver, and we're paying $500,000, right? Yeah, but I'm faster than the other guy. Yeah, but mate, you're only a 10th faster, or you're only 100th faster a lap. So why are we going to fork out another $300,000 for a driver that's only 100 or a 10th of a second quicker than the other guy, right? So you kind of, to me, it raises the question, Formula One drivers as the example, did you get into motorsport, or did you get into motor racing, or did you get into Formula One because you want to get paid squillions of dollars? Or did you get into it for the love of the sport and you've ended up, you're that good that you've gotten to get paid that amount of money? And I just think, a lot of sports stars, celebrity sports people end up going down the wrong track for the wrong reason.
Analogy to draw too, though, right? Because even $500,000 a year is a buttload of money.
Right.
Let's be honest. Like 500 versus 800,000 a year, most people wouldn't even blink at. Okay, yeah, I'm not getting the extra 300,000, but I'm still getting 500,000 a year.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the same kind of approach, I think. And look, there is nothing wrong with. I don't begrudge anyone wanting to get paid for their time and effort.
No,
and that's why my approach to things for the co-commentators that I work with has always been to at least try and offer them some kind of recompense that is comparable to, kind of a minimum wage scenario. It's a hobby thing, right? I don't have the whole business set up and all that kind of deal. But, if people are giving me their time to come and sit in the booth alongside me, I'm not asking for it for, $10 a broadcast or something like that. No matter how much they want to get into it, I'm a firm believer in paying people for their time and giving them the value.
Yep.
And I will do that at the cost of how much I'm taking in from it, because that's just how I approach it. My view on it is that long term, maybe one day there's some revenue in YouTube ads and the like from that side of things. But until that point, I'm just doing it for the love of things.
Yeah.
The best thing I can do at this stage, alongside the day job, is to just keep putting on the quality that we do, and to keep looking for opportunities to get involved with, premier events on the calendar that will bring more eyes our way. The OSR Bathurst 12 hour, that's one I really want to have a crack at some point, I'll be honest. So if Mike's out there, I know he's been on the show a few times. If he's out there listening, give us a shout. It's not too early to start talking about 2027. But for that matter, iRacing official coverage as well. I'd love to give that a shot too at some point.
Yeah.
We sort of touched on it a little bit earlier, but how do you balance your real life, work, family, and sim racing? How do you work that balance?
Poorly. Really, really badly. No, look, that's quite seriously though. That's actually a bit of an inflection point that I find myself at, that I'm struggling with the most right now, to be honest. I have learned through some very hard-won experience just what can happen when the other priorities jump to the front and you miss out on family time, particularly. The family time piece is so important to me from that experience, and so I really prioritize that as best I can. You overlay a day job on top of that, it does create challenges. Ultimately, every single broadcast that I do means that I'm sacrificing some kind of time and some kind of the meaningful routines that I have with my kids to put that broadcast on. And so trying to decide where I accept that balance landing is something that I'm always really acutely aware of. I don't really know what the answer is in that balance place. There are quite honestly, there are usually at least 1 or 2 points in every season of racing where I think, okay, this is going to be the last season I do this. But I don't know that I'd be any better off, mentally speaking, if I didn't have that outlet anyway. So, as long as I'm getting a bit of balance in terms of how often I'm doing it, then I can't be too upset with it.
That's true. I think it helps having that understanding partner and understanding kids and stuff like that. It helps you to be able to enjoy what you're doing, not having that stress of my wife doesn't really want me doing this, but it gives me joy. At least you don't have that stress by the sounds of it. You can just having that support there as well, I guess you could call it, would obviously help balance that out a little bit.
Yeah, and look, honestly, the biggest. Yeah, you should, Mitch. You should.
Taking time away from the poor man's family.
You should feel bad.
He's just cowering in a corner. He's just like, oh shit.
No, look. Quite honestly, though, the one of the things that I've been trying to figure out, and I've found the right process in this last sort of season of racing that I've covered. One of the biggest challenges was, if I'm going to have other people covering the broadcast for me, how do I make sure that the quality stays the same? And ultimately, the answer that I've come up with is I give them access to my PC set up in a particular way via our broadcast software that lets them run the broadcast from my PC without me in front of it. And that is the best way I've found so far, and it works brilliantly. Isaac Fogarty has stepped in a number of times in the last season to run broadcasts when I haven't been able to be there. And it's great to have someone I can trust to do that. The next stage of that is, how do I potentially have someone who does that all the time? Or, how do I do that for a couple nights a week, and then I do another couple nights a week, and we fill the simple calendar more that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting to that point has been a lot of trial and error and headaches and trying to figure out how to make it work.
Yeah, true. Kind of leads into another question, like what's a mistake you've made that kind of has taught you a huge lesson in the past?
Broadcasting specific or generally?
Probably more broadcast, yeah.
I was going to say letting other people control your computer remotely.
And look, that's why I do it in a particular way. I'm not just letting them log in and do whatever they want, right? I don't think there's anything in broadcasting that I'd look back on over the last couple of years and go, yeah, I made a real clanger of that. There's certainly some things that have been examples for me to learn from and improve what we do. And there have been, occasional races where I'm not happy with either my prep work beforehand or missing something obvious that I should have picked up in my routine. But yeah, look, I don't think there's any massive mistakes. I think the entire journey of broadcasting over the 2 years has been one massive lesson. And every time I figure something out, I want to go and add something new, or I want to change something. There's always something else that I would love to adjust or tweak or improve, that I'm always working on.
Yeah, true.
I put more time into broadcast improvement than I do any other sort of self-improvement in my life. Honestly, it's really interesting that I can't bring that same sort of focus and energy to myself. But anyway,
when you find an interest like that, like obviously you sort of get it to a level, but then you're like, what can I do next? Like you just want to that constantly improving of things. It's kind of like a bug almost. It just gets you to, I know I can make this better. And then you do. And then when you achieve that, you go, I know I can make this better. And it just snowballs from there. I know exactly what that feels like.
I guess it's like the saying that there's always something you'll find, right? Because you're never going to reach perfection.
Mm-hmm. No.
And even when you think you have reached perfection, like, oh, hang on a minute, there's that up there that I don't 100% like, and how can I tweak it to be better? And that then has a flow-on effect to, okay, well, now that's changed something over here. And so it'll never be spot on. Perfect,
I can tell you that on the list of things to do, I have wanted for so long to replicate a timing tower that looks bang on to the V8 Supercar Series one. I know exactly what I need to do it. I just know how much of a time investment it will be to make that happen.
Hang on. Whoa. Have you not seen the timing tower on the current supercars? I don't think that's an avenue you want to go down.
Okay, maybe
wrong
not
names,
one,
wrong teams, wrong drivers. Like,
yeah, but look, from a design perspective, I would love to replicate it so that people racing supercars and iRacing have a timing tower that matches what they watch on the weekend broadcast for each round.
Mate, we'll take this one offline, but we can talk.
Noted.
Yeah. I've done overlay stuff before for some past broadcasters, etc. So, yeah, have a chat. If it works out, works out. If it doesn't, then no loss.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Keen.
Okay. State of ANZ broadcasting. We're an ANZ community here, Jared, on the show. So what do you think of the current state of sim racing broadcasts within our region?
I reckon it's as varied as any other genre of streaming out there, right? There's quite a few broadcasters out there that are doing an awesome job, and that I regularly check in on and just see if they're doing something that I need to replicate or improve on or do better than. There are plenty of others out there who are finding their feet, and I hope that they can get to a point where they feel, we're successfully broadcasting, whatever that looks like for them. I think it's a question of taste more than anything else, right? Like my approach to broadcasting has always been, I value a pretty professional kind of approach that tries to match a TV standard of broadcast that I've seen throughout my life, right? Like it's what we grew up watching. You kind of you know what a TV broadcast looks like, and that's what I've tried to bring. That's not what everyone wants either. Be it viewers, be it customers, be it other broadcasters. Some people are targeting a different market in terms of the way they look to engage their audience, and that maybe that's the key to actually making this a financially successful endeavor, is to target, just give the people what they want to get the most views on at all times, and work the algorithms and that kind of thing. But it's just not what I'm interested in doing personally.
Yeah.
But it is great that there is that variety in racing broadcasts out there. I think there's something for everyone at the moment, and that's a healthy thing.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Absolutely.
I think I'm personally, obviously with the broadcaster battle coming, I didn't know there was quite so many broadcasters that are actually around at the moment. Like back in the day, it was pretty much just SimSpeed was the only one that you'd sort of know of. A lot out there now providing these services to the community, and I think you've got the right attitude as well. Like you're not there to make the money. You're not there to be a millionaire and whatnot. Like if it gets to that point,
I wouldn't say no.
Yeah, that's right. I wouldn't say no.
I was hoping you're going to step in.
if you got to that point, cool. But
Fantastic,
it's not your primary driver.
Yeah.
No, and it can't be,
there
because
to build the community.
And Trent and I would have to take our cut on that too, by the way, because
of course. Yeah. No, honestly though, like it's such a small percentage of people who make a viable living off content creation, and you have to be realistic about that. And if it comes, great, but really go into it as something you're going to enjoy and that you want to do because it's going to be fun for you. It's going to be a creative outlet or whatever. I always tell people I'm not a creative person in the slightest, and yet I'll put on these broadcasts that I think are probably about the closest thing I have to a creative outlet. So I guess maybe that's my creative side. I don't know.
Pretty awesome, mate. If that's you being creative, as you call it, on and basically at a low level is what you're trying to say. You're really playing this like whole like low level, like no high expectation stuff. But man,
look,
I've seen the broadcasts. I go back and watch them all the time. I watch all the other stuff that you do, and yeah, like I think it's very up there in the highest of standards that broadcasts reach, in my opinion.
I really appreciate that. I do. And look, maybe there's probably a whole lot to unpack there with a health professional, a mental health professional around, why I do minimize this stuff, I suppose. But
or a beer or two at Bathurst 12 Hour next year.
Or whatever, right? Exactly.
So
but look, ultimately, I guess the standard that I set for myself, I'm pretty happy broadly with where Simple is at the moment, and that's sort of the standard I'd like to keep it at. Yep. And unless or until I see other broadcasters starting to outshine the elements of Simple that I look at and that I am unwavering on in terms of what I expect from those broadcasts, then I'll keep it where it is. If I think there's a need to go further, I mean, realistically, I don't know that there's a lot more that I can pull out of iRacing itself to drive it further in terms of the broadcast. That will depend on iRacing and their new graphics engine and everything else.
Yeah.
So not holding my breath. It'll come when it comes. But until that point, I'm pretty happy with that side of things. It's just constantly looking at what else I can improve.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of kind of improving, good segue a little bit here, kind of, but what makes someone a good commentator, and can a great commentator carry an average race?
Let me start with the second part. 100%. Absolutely. I have had the absolute pleasure of working with some truly world-class commentators so far. And I'm so grateful that I get the opportunity to work with some names that have worked on official iRacing broadcasts and have a storied history. You know, Ewan, for a start, the MC Motorsports on Wednesday nights, and working alongside him. So Ewan O'Leary, for anyone who's not heard him, I mean, if you don't know the name, trust me, if you hear his voice, you'll know him. If you've watched any iRacing podcast ever, having him come and work alongside us, it has been amazing. Reece Gardner does a fantastic job. The very first
ex-teammates.
The very first real event that I covered with the charity race and working alongside Sandman was incredible. And it's commentators of that level. The biggest difference when you've got a race that is just carrying on, there's no big moments going on, there's no really tight battles, that happens regularly. And the difference that a great commentator makes in those average races is having that bag of tricks to lean on to keep the audience engaged and give them something to listen to and to carry the entertainment through that portion. It's really hard work though. It is actually, I find it really mentally draining when you've got a race like that. I'm way more tired after those than I am after a really exciting race.
And it's not like you can cut to an ad or something like TV can, right?
I mean, I can in some instances, but it's not generally good form when a league wants their race broadcast.
Yeah.
And, you could do it potentially, but that's not the goal. It's racing. That happens. They're gonna be racing when it's not close. In terms of what makes someone a good commentator, to come back to the first part of that.
Yeah.
I've given my thoughts on this to a couple of people I've worked alongside over the last couple of years, and it's something that I was told by one of my colleagues when I did some work as a training facilitator years ago. When you start out in any kind of gig where people are eyes on you, you're presenting, you're training, you're commentating, everyone is always hyper focused on their own mistakes right throughout the start of their time doing that. The little stumbles that they make, the ums and ahs, feeling a need to just fill dead air so that they're not sitting there not saying anything, getting name pronunciations wrong, all of that, and they get hyper focused on it. And more importantly, what you see from a lot of first time or early career commentators is that they are really apologetic about it, and they actually make reference to it quite a bit when they're on air. And overcoming that need to get it right, and the feeling like you need to apologize for every single error, you need to overcome that and then focus on what actually matters. And what actually matters is the experience of the audience and the action on track. It's not about you. It's not about your performance as a commentator. Insofar as you don't need to actually apologize. You go out there and you give it the best you can. You do the best job you can of commentating, and it will come to you from there.
What happened, Trent?
I don't know.
Huh.
But just
off to a commercial break.
After talking about filling that dead silence, and I'm like,
That's why I didn't say anything. I'm like, I'm just going to sit here now.
That's what I was just saying. I wonder who's going to break first. Onto the sim community. what does the ANZ sim racing community mean to you? You've obviously touched on like the reasons why you sort of got into broadcasting, so I'd imagine like you'd have something to talk about here.
Yeah, look, everyone takes something a little bit different, I think, from the sim racing community. But honestly, at the end of the day, it's more or less a bunch of mates just enjoying driving fake cars around a track and talking a big game about how well they do it. But that support network that becomes for people for various reasons is massively underrated. We talk so frequently about the lack of community being such a factor in the mental health issues that are so prevalent these days and feel like they're getting worse, whether they are or not. It feels that way in a lot of instances, and particularly for young men, sim racing is something that a lot of them gravitate to, and they find that community in that space. And I think that's a brilliant thing. Like any community, right? There are always, there are groups within the community that people kind of fall into. Not everyone fits in with everyone else, but ultimately the way that I've seen the ANZ sim racing community come together and support people within that community so often with so many various things going on, it's just proof to me that inherently they're a bunch of good people.
Yeah, I agree. It's it's especially around, like you said, like young men's mental health is probably one of those things that doesn't really get the attention that it probably deserves, and it's probably the one segment of any community that probably doesn't reach out for that assistance either. So to have that, as you mentioned, like for those young men to have that community feeling and to connect, even on a personal level for myself, not in a mental health way, but just way back when, in the thick of like 2016, 2017, like if Scott and I even, like, we were sort of friends and teammates since back then, and we're still, like, here we are 10, 12 years later, and we're still having these conversations. Like, that's how this show basically started, was Scott and I just having a chat, and they go, hey, you know what? I wonder if people are bored enough to want to listen to us talk about this shit. So, and that's kind of how the show like come about, and now, like, we're trying to build that community as well. Like, we want to be part of it. We want that closeness and somewhere for people to feel part of something.
I think that's probably the only thing that I think that the sim racing community needs to do a bit better is because of the inherent bias that it has towards being a pretty heavily young male dominated space. It's pretty intimidating for anyone outside of that kind of demographic to get involved with, I would imagine. So look, I don't know a solution to that, but I think there's a lot to be gained in diversity of the community with, more women getting involved with sim racing, and some of the conversations that go on within the sim racing community are inherently a little bit intimidating to people who don't maybe fit the mold, so to speak. I think I'd love to see us be better at that, because genuinely, it's such a great escape from the real world, and I think the more people that are part of that, the better for everyone.
You kind of just answered the next question that we were going to ask, which was, what's one thing you'd love to see improve in the ANZ region? I think you've just touched on that.
Yeah, I'll stick with that answer, thanks.
Guess what? It is time, folks, for our quickfire questions. Now, for those who have not watched the show before, actually, for those of you who are in the watching and you haven't hit subscribe and join the chat, you should do that. because we're happy to hear your thoughts, and we're also happy to get any questions we can throw at Jared. But so we have some quick fire questions that we're going to throw up at Jared. He doesn't know what they are. So, mate, it's kind of whatever answer comes to your head first, spit it out.
Some word association, fantastic.
A little bit, kind of. It's a little bit different, but along those kind of lines. So, I'll kick the questions off, and the first category falls under food and drinks. Hungry Jack's or McDonald's?
Hungry Jack's. Burgers are better.
Have we
had anyone answer that wrong yet?
Do we not have Shep? Did he say McDonald's?
I'm pretty sure he said hungry. We should record this now. We should record people's answers.
Funnily enough, mate, it's a live show that's recorded.
if only there was a record of this somewhere.
Do you know what that's like? That's like guys going and pitting after they've done 5 laps at Road America going, my tyres were burnt out, and not knowing that they'd just done a 10-lap race the race prior. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought they'd run out of fuel? Yeah.
Unbelievable. Spirits, wine, or beer?
Spirits, no question.
What's your go-to drink?
It is generally some sort of Scotch or bourbon. Okay. Tonight has been a bit of Jameson with dry and lime.
Nice.
Yeah, very, very nice. I don't drink beer, wine, coffee, or tea, and none of that is a health choice. It's purely that I don't like the taste.
Okay. Righto. So Jared basically drinks spirits all day, every day.
Spirits or water. Yep. Take your pick. That's what you get with me.
Takeaway or cook at home?
Oh, it's takeaway. I would love to cook at home, but it's not something that I'm just particularly good at or have the patience or concentration for.
Okay. Righto. Favorite chocolate bar?
Favorite chocolate bar is cherry ripe, particularly the double coat cherry ripe.
Old school.
Yeah, nice.
The best. I will take that one. I will take that fight to anybody.
Okay. Righto. Steak, rare, medium rare, or well done?
Medium rare.
Good lad.
Yeah.
And last one for food and drinks. Pineapple on a pizza. Yay or nay?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Congratulations, you
got we are having pizza and Jameson's and dry at the Bathurst 12-hour next year, my friend.
Amazing.
Lock it in. Oh, and we're going to take out with a steak.
Had you asked about egg on pizza, we'd have a different answer, because I don't understand that.
Egg on pizza? Oh, like an Aussie?
Yeah. I don't get that. No. That's weird.
That is. Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard of that before.
Really? Oh, mate.
It's a thing. You can get an Aussie pizza, and it has ham, pineapple, bacon, pineapple, something else.
They've all got different variations, but there's inevitably an egg on it somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Just weird.
Yeah.
Just weird.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Now we move into some more sim-related type questions. I think I know the answer to this one already. Yeah. Single monitor, triples, or VR?
VR.
What headset you rocking anyway?
Quest 3.
Yeah, nice. Cool.
Yeah, I used to have a Rift S, and then somehow convinced my wife that yes, we needed a Quest 3.
Yeah, you need it, 100%.
Needed it for some reason. But yes, it's lovely.
Shoes, socks, barefoot.
On the sim while racing.
On the sim. Okay.
Not at Curry Beach.
No. Hang on, just Jeremy. No, we're talking sim. So I go with socks. I find that the little grippy ones you get from like your trampoline places you go to with the kids are fantastic to be reused as sim racing socks without the exorbitant price tag.
I don't like grippiness on the pedals. I like to slide down the pedal. That's weird.
Yeah, fair.
Actually, while we're on the subject, gloves. Do you use gloves? No gloves?
I do. I've got a fantastic pair of Sid Speed gloves here, which if I'm not mistaken, I think he's floating around in the chat. J2 Racing actually bought those for me as a birthday gift.
Oh, very
not
nice.
all that long ago, being the amazing bloke that he is.
My birthday's in January, just for the record.
just noting that down.
Just note it down. Paddle or shifter?
Oh, if it's appropriate, the shifter.
Yeah.
If it's the car that has a H pattern, I'll use the H pattern.
Yeah. Okay. Qualifying hero or race grinder? I missed the question anyway.
Where's the most likely to pit due to damage category? Look, certainly not qualifying pace, so we'll go with race grinder. You know what? Some of my best results have just been from surviving from the back of the pack. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I've been there, done that. Sprint or endurance racing?
Enduros. I am a sucker for punishment. I have done more 4-hour Nürburgring enduro rounds than it's probably healthy for someone to do in VR solo.
Oh, yeah, right.
4 hours in VR.
It's great.
I used to do 2-3 hour sessions in VR. It's still, like you said, once you get used to it, it's okay, but it's getting used to it in the first place. That can be a bit difficult.
My longest so far has been, I think, about 4.5 or 5 hours of a stint during the 24-hour Nürburgring.
I don't think I've ever got
the one time that I tried it.
In VR, mate. In VR, we're talking about.
Yeah, I did VR, mate. Bathurst 12 hour, thank you very much.
Really? In VR?
Yep.
You're an idiot. Respect.
Anyway, it's not about me. It's not about me.
If you could have 2 things done in sim racing to improve it, what would they be?
2 things done in sim racing.
And this doesn't have to be from a broadcaster angle either. This can just be.
Oh, geez.
Grip
I would
free for everyone.
No, what I would like is anyone who's seen Ready Player One, the full haptic suit that they have. I want that maxed out. So all those people that love to dive bomb corners because they're not in a real car and it doesn't really hurt them. Get a nice little zap.
It's gonna hurt.
just to bring that extra. That's the dose of reality that's missing from sim racing, is the bruises and potential for cracked ribs and stuff from big accidents. That might not be a sim racing specific thing, but
no,
there's a market.
We had Alex Kay on earlier in the year, and he said he wanted injuries in sim racing. So like if you had a crash, I won't be in network today. I broke my leg. Doing what? Sim racing?
I love it. 2 very different perspectives on it, right? His approach is, how do I use this to get out of work? My approach is, how do I use this to get out the bad drivers? That's only one, but I think it's one that I'll put 2 votes towards because I think it makes such a difference to the experience for everybody.
Yeah, it would be good to have something as a deterrent for those. Yeah, just the non-carers.
Even just a shock collar, something like that. That'd be fine.
I was in a server the other day and it was coming to a close. I'm just like kind of, coming down the front straight into the first corner and was just going to pull up and literally just got absolutely smashed up into the rear end, and I've got direct drive wheel and I'm holding onto it like normal, and luckily not had my thumbs through, but reckon if I had of at the time I would have had busted up thumbs easily. And I actually had to write in the chat to the guy like, mate, I've got a direct drive wheel, you shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff, like you can cause a lot of damage to a person on the other end. That's for sure. Not cool. Real world motorsports is the next category. What is your preferred motorsport?
It changes week to week depending on what's going on.
Because you're a motorsport fan.
Motorsport fan.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that I have a particular favorite of anything, not just motorsports. People ask me my favorite color and I can't answer that. I am pretty agnostic, really.
Okay, we'll roll with that. This one will be a little bit interesting. You may not have the answer to it, but what's your most desired motorsport event to attend?
Honestly, I would love to get along to the Bathurst 12-hour.
In 2027, by any chance?
2027, lock it in.
Potentially. Like,
lock it in.
We
got our first special guest for our live show.
Yeah.
Why not, right? Honestly, it feels like I am letting down a whole bunch of people.
Yes, you are. You are. Just to reiterate that, you are.
I've never been to an event at Bathurst. Never even been to Bathurst in my life.
It's kind of like a rite of passage for sim races.
I kind of have to at some point.
Pull the pin, man.
So yeah, I think as far as motorsport events go, that's up there. To Mitch's point in the comments, as far as tracks to visit, driving the Nordschleife is a dream for me one day. I really just love that place. I don't know what it is about it.
Just a heads up, jump on your sim just next to you, put your headset on, you can go do it as many times as you want.
I can, you're right. And I have spent far too much time doing exactly that. Just driving laps, not even in sessions, right? But yeah, the physical sensation of that I think would be pretty special.
Just kind of conscious of time. Street circuits or permanent racetracks?
Permanent racetracks. I think street circuits have their place, but permanent racetracks, just you're not compromising. You can build them to deliver exactly the challenge you want.
But then you end up with tracks like Coda.
I mean, my local track is Queensland Raceway. It could be worse than Coda.
Yeah, true. I actually love Queensland Raceway. It's a good track to actually view from.
Yeah, and they have since fixed it. But when I was doing a lot of track days on the motorbike out there, the ripples coming into turn one in the braking zone was an experience.
Yeah. I don't think I want to do that on a motorbike.
So 2-part question here. Who is your favorite real world driver? Who is your favorite past driver? And who is your favorite present driver?
Oh, that's a really, really tough one. Because again, I've never really gotten in and gone, hey, I love it. Look, I can't go past Danny Rick. Yeah. And I think we'll count him as a past driver. I just think his attitude towards racing, there needs to be more of that in the world, particularly at the elite levels. I just think he brought a certain quality to it that made it far more appealing as a result. Current drivers, take them or leave them.
Fair enough.
Right.
Some spicy questions. Yeah. What's most overrated track?
This conversation just came up, didn't it? Of all of the let's look specifically at the iRacing stable of tracks, the calendar, the roster there.
Oh, not necessarily sim. It could be
just generally.
Any
racetrack.
You know what? My answer probably doesn't change, and I'm in agreement with a few people that this conversation came up in the MC Discord the other night. Spa. I don't get the love for it. It's it's okay, but it's not
actually.
Yeah, it's not worthy of the hype around it, I reckon.
Maybe over that Jamison's and Dry at the Bathurst 12-hour next year, we'll talk you through why it's an epic racetrack.
The only one that would challenge Spa for most overhyped track or most overrated track, and again, recent conversation brings it to mind, but I don't quite get Sandown. And
that, folks, is the end of the show.
I can get on board with Sandown. Like, I do love it, but it's kind of also meh.
I think it's because they're tracks that have generated in its past some very epic races and outcomes of races.
Yeah, the history is what makes it what it is. But
generally speaking, yeah.
With the advance in car tech, racing there is not the same fast and loose that it was in the the heyday or golden era or whatever you want to call it of V8 racing.
Yeah. But I think as well, Sandown probably added to the whole spectacle of the Bathurst, right? Because it was the lead up to Bathurst. So I think for Australia, Sandown.
But the track itself, meh.
Yeah, I'm a bit saying like track itself, meh. But the events there, or like as Scott mentioned, because it's right before Bathurst, it was the precursor, and that was what I always remember. Sandown 500, Bathurst 1000. The most overrated non-sim driver. And why is it Lando Norris?
That was gold.
Yeah, look.
That's your best comment of the bloody episodes, Trent. I love it.
I'm actually going to say the most overrated non-sim driver is Lance Stroll, because there is no possible way to underrate him enough to match his quality as a driver. Anything you say about him is overrating him. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
he's shit though.
That's the point.
Yeah,
even if you said that guy is shit,
mate.
you're still giving him too much credit. Yeah,
I always used to like back up Stroll for his junior career, but then it pointed out to me that it was pretty much those results were kind of just paid for. It wasn't necessarily a result of his skill level per se.
I just can't imagine. I'm gonna compare myself here to Lance Stroll for just a second. When I joined the MC Motorsport League, I did 2 races and I went, I don't belong here. I'm getting out of the way for someone else. Lance Stroll, are you paying attention?
he's a weekly listener. He comes back and watches it, not live, but he definitely watches, post show. Absolutely.
You're going to absolutely wet yourself if he announces his retirement this week, aren't you?
Like, honestly, is he only there because his old man? Like, is his old man forcing him to? Like, is his old man forcing him to do it? Sort of thing. Is his old man living through him, his dream of having an F1 career or whatever? Like, you can just see
that's
it
a
in
shit dream, though. Then isn't it?
Lance Stroll just does not have it in. You just don't see the passion in him at all. He does not want to be there. He needs to get the F out of that car and give someone else a seat.
And you're still being too kind to him, mate.
Okay.
We're up to last one for Spicy.
One more, penalties in sim racing, too soft or too harsh?
Do not sit on the fence with this question.
I think the penalties in sim racing are both too soft and not varied enough. I've suggested to iRacing via the support team and forums that there needs to actually be a better range of penalties available, particularly for league racing.
Agreed.
So there's a post somewhere on the iRacing forum that you're welcome to all go and give a thumbs up to and try and bring some attention to it. Like time-based penalties are something that should be able to be applied by admins, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But for drivers who are out there driving in a manner that on any real racetrack would result in serious injury, death, or at the very least a massive suspension, are being allowed to do it for far too long at the expense of the enjoyment of racing for dozens of other drivers.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be some more concerted effort to actually, and look, the reality is there are financial considerations for any sim company around how they approach this, but the impact and the reputation that it develops for the quality of any racing platform is something that needs to be taken really seriously.
I like those answers.
Yeah. Most of them are correct.
Yep. So that means you're welcome to come back on the show again. You passed that part.
Oh, that's fantastic. I appreciate it, mate.
Yeah,
it's good to be here.
Roll. Yeah. So we've got 2 more questions to go. One of them is going to be about you, and the second one is going to be about sim racing. So the first one, if you could go back in time and give 18-year-old Jared one piece of advice, what would it be? Oh, the smile on the face, the smirk straight away. I love it. When you grow up, Jared, don't like nightlife.
Honestly, I'll try and keep it light for the content.
Buy Bitcoin.
You know,
Bitcoin.
I think it's. I think the advice I'd give is don't think you've got forever with people.
Oh.
And make it count.
Love it. Absolutely love it. It's a brilliant answer.
I do like that answer. 100% agree.
Brilliant answer. Last question, mate, before we wrap up. What legacy would you like Simple Racing Broadcast to leave on the ANZ community?
I've thought about this from time to time. Why do I do this, and what's the end goal here? Ultimately, in the moment, as long as people are enjoying their broadcasts of their leagues, I'm happy. Long term, I think, and again, interesting closing questions. They're taking my head in a completely different direction here to probably where the rest of this conversation has been. So I love the idea that barring the disappearance of YouTube over the course of the next 50 years or whatever it is, I love the idea that my kids are going to be able to come back and listen to me do this anytime. I would like that.
That's mega.
Brings a tear to the eye, really. That's really cool.
There's reasons.
But you think about that answer. Think about that answer for a sec, right? At the moment, there's a lot of like the Instagram clips and stuff going around about, Dad, what was motorsport like in the 90s, right? Like some kid asking his motorsport father, like, what racing was like back then or something. And you've hit the nail on the head, but in 50 years' time, maybe, or 30 years' time, kind of thing. Like, hey, Dad, what was sim racing broadcasting like, or what was sim racing like back in 2026? Oh, son, here's Simple Racing Broadcast. Like, this is me. And that's pretty cool, man. That's my heart's out on that one. Love it.
Everyone's got their reasons for doing stuff, right? And although that's not why I started doing this, it's one of those things that has become a whole other reason for it being important to me.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah, same. On that note, it does bring us to the end of our show.
It does.
And mate, we can't thank you enough for sharing your insights, who you are as a person. I think we've got a very different perspective now on, we've all known about Jared and Simple Racing Broadcast, but it's definitely laid a different, not view, but look at you as a whole and what you represent and who you are as a person. So, can't thank you enough for giving us the time and allowing us to throw down these questions at you and get an insight to the behind the scenes of what it's like to be a broadcasting company. And we thank you a lot for everything that you do in terms of the broadcast world to the sim racing broadcasts out there and for tonight's show. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
Gents, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll gladly come back to debate anything, anytime.
As long as it's over a Jamison's and Coke, mate, at the 24 hour. Could be quite a few. Hope you like drinking.
Look, got to do what you got to do.
Do you like walking long distances around tracks that go up really high?
Oh, yeah.
Do I look like I like walking anywhere?
Yeah, I did the walk in 2019. It was an experience. One I enjoyed, but it was hard yakka.
I know what walking feels like. I can happily just sit and drink. That's fine too.
Unfortunately, it's kind of part and parcel of attending the venue.
The requirement must be done.
Yeah. Thank you, audience. Great questions that you threw out at Jared as well. So we appreciate you guys hanging around and being on the broadcast live with us tonight. Interaction with you guys is not solely, but a lot of it is to do with our interactions, community-based, and having you guys along for the ride. So we appreciate the questions and you guys hanging around. Trent, any final thoughts or words from you?
Just to reiterate what you've just said, thanks to Jared for coming along and sharing your experiences and life stories, etc. And to everyone who joined us tonight in the chat. And even if you weren't in the chat and you were watching, maybe you'll join us next time and give us a comment, subscribe, join in a chat, hit the like button as well if you can.
Do all those great things. Share the show.
Like good YouTube stuff. Do it.
Yep. Share the show. Tell your friends. We're all about trying to grow the ANZ sim racing community. So whatever you can do to help us out would be really great.
Rightio. On that note, on behalf of Trent, myself, and Jared, thanks all again, and we will catch you next episode in 2 weeks' time. Thanks all again.
Thanks, guys.
iRace-ANZ chat show, bringing you sim racing, real motorsport, and the ANZ racing community.